Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So when you think about Monday, it can do anything that a list can do, whether that be a task list or anything that you can do in Excel. The advantage is I think it's a lot more customizable for somebody who's not tech savvy. And for somebody who is tech savvy, it's a lot easier to make your data pop. So I view it as what a spreadsheet can do, but it also brings you data visualization, i.e. the ability to really manipulate your data, see it in very attractive ways, and also do data analytics. And those last two terms are terms that both excite me and intimidate me because I'm not a programmer, but I want to be able to look at my data and manipulate it. With Excel, it's possible, but if you're not a programmer or if you're not really savvy with Excel, some of those things are complicated. So this is the basic board within Monday. And a board, the analogy is a board is a sheet, a worksheet within Excel. So this is the basic board. And then there are a lot of ways that you can customize it. So it comes with built-in columns, which hold your items. But what really is amazing is when you start to add columns, when you start to customize. It comes with 5 or 6 different types of columns. With the free version, with the paid version, things really begin to get pretty exciting. So I'm going to show you some of the boards that I put together, and this is, I'm going to jump to the showcase because I think this is where things really get exciting. So this is a board that we've created for our office. These are actual tasks that we've created and that I've assigned to our administrative team. We have a 2-person admin team, one with the picture of the baby, that's Deanna, and then Devaney, which is the DT. And depending on the project, I will come up with a project. I'll assign it to one or both of them, give them a due date, and then they can let me know what's going on. And then within here, we can have conversations. So instead of having a thread in Excel that can get pretty cumbersome, we can actually have conversations within here, like with our bubbles. So I can just send a quick message to Devaney. I created a private board. So I can send a message to Devaney on this board and say, I've got it taken care of, or I can just change the status so that it's done. You notice it disappeared. We created what's called an automation so that when we change the status from working on it to completed, it automatically disappears from the top board and it appears on the bottom board as a completed project. So it's appeared down here. So we've taken a basic to-do list and we've made it colorful, which is our data visualization, but we've also added in some automations so that when something is done, it automatically disappears from the in progress board and it appears on the done board. So I would say that's Monday Advanced, which is creating automations, but we have 3 automations on this board, and there's an entire menu of automations you can create. If anybody's familiar with Microsoft Flow, if then that, Zapier, it's the same technology, which is you're creating a recipe that if one event triggers, something else happens, and Monday integrates all of those things. So I would say this board on a scale of 1 to 10 complexity is about a 1.5. It's our basic to-do list with just a little bit more functionality. I'm helping Gail Kaplan with some of the things that she's doing for our conference. And what I did was I imported a list of people who attended, I think this was the Chicago conference. And really quickly, all I did was I added a couple of column headings, one which is Pinnacle member, of course, versus non-member, people that were attending versus not attending. And then for a couple, I even added addresses, and I'll show you where that gets really cool. But without any programming, at the bottom, I can see what percentage of people that were invited are Pinnacle members versus speakers versus vendors. And that's the beauty of tagging or creating statuses for your data, is now you can see percentages. She had 43% of people that were invited were yeses, 39 no's, 17, we're on the fence. And obviously in real time, we can update this. So we've gone a step further with our data in being able to add more filters to it, or more things that are filterable. We're looking at the basic view. A different view is a map view. And now it's going to pull all the data from the addresses that I put in. And what'll be really nice is when we have all 80 Pinnacle members in here, we can look on a map and we can specifically see where they are. So if you've got a search in a certain area and you're wondering which recruiters are nearby, once the addresses are in, you can see them all displayed this way. And I'll show you where that gets really cool with a different list that I've imported. This is a list. We do a lot of recruiting within the world of public accounting. And there are different business journals for different geographic areas. We took one of those lists and put it into Excel, and then we very quickly imported it. And where this gets really cool is we only had the name of the company and the address. I then added additional information. So if it says DNP or non-DNP, we have an internal list of firms that we will not poach from. That's DNP in red. And then I categorize firms based on size. So at the bottom, I can quickly tell what percentage of firms are hands-off versus other. And if I'm training somebody in my office and they're wondering what size is a certain firm, they can look and figure out at the bottom very quickly what size it is. But a lot of what we want to do is be able to sort a list, which in Excel is possible, but it requires manipulating the sheet. Every column is sortable just by clicking a button. So now we're clicking alphabetically by the name of the company. We can sort by size. But now if we really want to boost that data, we can filter it. Because maybe what I'm concerned about is not just one criteria, but two. Who are the regional firms that are DNP? This little button is our filter button. And it shows us very quickly how many fall into each category. But now I can click on two different criteria, regional and DNP, and now my list is going to drill down only to firms that meet that criteria. And again, because I have the addresses here, I can go to my map view. And if I'm looking at a very particular geographic window, if I have a candidate that says, I'm only going to go.
Are you there?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
What happened,
I
Alan?
think you went on mute.
You went away.
Maybe it's internet. Alan, can you hear us?
I can't hear Alan.
Yeah, me neither. I wonder if it's
Wow, it was getting really good too.
yeah.
I'm writing down all my questions.
Give it a second. Maybe while he's making his way back, any take a question or two until he gets back.
I have two questions. Is he back? No.
He might have dropped off. Let's see if he cycles back in.
You put all of those companies in. Is that all hand put? Oh, let me put this on. Is that all hand put in, or do you have to enter the data one by one? Like,
good
would
question. Yeah, you could either add them one by one, or you can import a full spreadsheet.
Okay.
I think imported the whole spreadsheet.
And then how does that work with your database? Like, I try to keep everything within my, applicant tracking system. This looks like you're building a system outside of that. Does that cause any confusion at all?
It might. I don't know how Monday would work to integrate with your ATS. It might be one or the other instead of both together.
That was a question I had.
Okay.
Hey, Boris.
Yeah.
Do we know, you mentioned the size of the company and everything. Do you know how many users they have? Or is it a user model? I don't even know if it's a subscription model or.
Oh yeah, we'll go over that. It's a per user per month model.
Okay.
and let's say like that, you've seen them before, Boris, like the attendance spreadsheet or the expenses spreadsheet that I use for Pinnacle. Can I just import that? And what, I can't imagine that it picks up everything, but I guess you're saying it does.
It does, yeah. It really does. You could import a spreadsheet and then begin to manipulate the columns and the functionality the way that Alan was showing a handful of examples.
I think
Yeah.
somebody,
That's great for board projects.
yeah, I think somebody turned on the microwave in the suite next door because we had a power surge, but
Yeah. All right.
that was awesome. I'm back. And I think I heard somebody say, is it really just that easy to import something and it imports everything? And I'll show that. I think
Okay, great.
that's a great ask. Okay, are you able to see my page again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and import a list. So when you create a new board, it asks you, do you want to create a blank board? Do you want to use a template? And there are some templates in here, or do you want to start with Excel or any of these other, even Google Sheets? So I'm gonna start with Excel, and so another list that I'm working on is the largest CPA firms in Cincinnati, and it's telling me my board is already done. It's allowing me to look at the board and just do a reality check on, are these in fact the columns? And it's done. So I didn't do anything. I didn't color code anything. I just imported it as is. And it, maybe because it knows that I like to use statuses, it's labeled Cincinnati different than it's labeled Fort Wayne. So it's done all that for me. It's imported all the addresses. So if I go to my map view, hopefully everything should appear on a map. I can sort by city to figure out how many are in Cincinnati versus somewhere else. The only column it really had a problem with is my zip code. So it's reading the zip code as a number instead of as a zip code, but I can change that. I can go to change column type, and I want to change it to text, and it's creating another column, and it's going to ask me, is this really what you meant? Yes. So I think that would have been harder to do in Excel, but it was very easy to do here where I just changed the formatting. And again, all of these are sortable. I can tell that it doesn't like the numbering. It probably prefers 01, 02, so I may have to quickly modify that. And if I add a view and add a map view, oh, it's saying that it needs location and country. So we probably need to add that, and then we can look at the map. So some of this does need just a little bit of tweaking, but just with my initial import, you can see that my data's here. It's colorful. It's got most of what I need. It imported it really cleanly from Excel with all the columns. And of course, you can add anything you want. When we do an advanced Monday training, and I would encourage if anybody has questions, you can email me directly. The tutorials are unbelievable. Some of the columns that you can add are website, email address. You can actually send emails directly from here. And because it has the ability to set up automations, you can actually set up an automation so that when something happens, which could be a date or it could be a status change, it'll automatically send an email. So we are using it, and I think Boris is as well, as a makeshift ATS. We've been using Correlate for 2 years, and I love Correlate. But we found that the people on our team are not as interested in using it day to day as I am. So we are experimenting with moving away from Correlate and using Monday as our ATS. And every day it's a little bit more trial and error of what do we need to really make it a fully functional ATS. But here is an example of we are now entering candidates as we start working with them. We have a team of recruiters. So we assign which recruiter's working with them. Of course, this is sortable. the territory, because we break things out by territory, the title, the status. We have email addresses in for some. We're going to work on getting it for everybody. Are they active or inactive? We've created tags as a way to monitor where we're presenting somebody. We figured that tags is the best way to do this. We're now beginning to add a link to their LinkedIn profile. And because we have all of these statuses, which is what they call the columns, we can sort or filter by any of these. So at any time, I can look to see who has the most active candidates, which territory, what titles are most common. If somebody's status changes, and this is important, if Andre all of a sudden becomes inactive, notice he disappeared. I've created a rule that as soon as somebody's status changes to inactive, they appear on a different board. All of this is searchable, which means even if they're not staring me in the face because I moved them from the current board to the inactive board, I can still search for them. So I can sort and I can see how many candidates I'm working with at any title, which territory. And the more filterable things you have, the easier it is to filter. So here I can quickly look at everything. How many candidates Stacy has, Cheryl has, I have. What category, what territory. And then I can look at multiple criteria. Who is Stacy working with that's active? Or who is Stacy placed? These are all the placements that Stacy's made. So by adding a category for placed and identifying it as Stacy, I can now filter by both of those criteria. We started tracking sendouts. Well, we've always tracked sendouts, and we've tracked it in Excel, which is two-dimensional and is not all that user-friendly. So we started last year, we imported our sendout list. And we have every sendout in here from last year, and there's no manual counting anymore. We had 466 sendouts last year. We inserted an auto counter. I can look to see where our sendouts were percentage-wise. Monday does this for you. How many offers were accepted? So if I want data on how many placements did we have versus sendouts, 14.6% of sendouts result in placements. There's no calculation. Once I figure out which columns are going to give me this info, it really will calculate it for me. There were some other cool things that I found once I got the data in here. So when we filter, one, we can see where we had the most sendouts. In fact, where we had all the sendouts. The most popular interview time. The most popular interview time is interesting, but what about the most popular interview time for placements? 10 a.m. If a client says I can interview your candidate at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, obviously I'm going to pick 10 o'clock because 9 o'clock is just not a very popular time for people to get placed. I never gave that thought before, but now the data's staring me in the face. If I want to do training with one of our recruiters, and I want to find out where is Cheryl making her placements, I can just look at Cheryl and I can see, look for any common threads among the candidates that she's placed. All of her candidates except one have been in public accounting, CPA firms. Obviously that's something that she likes, it's something that she's good at. I can also see geographically. Have I included that on here? No, I haven't included geography on here, but I could include a column on territory, LA versus Orange County versus San Diego, and I can drill down even further. So this is an example where we just took a two-dimensional spreadsheet in Excel, we imported it, we added a couple of columns. To add somebody else is very easy. So now I've entered the item, and now all I need to do is I can click on the statuses, and populating the rest of it becomes fairly easy because I've already created those tags. We have a spreadsheet that tracks all of our placements over the course of the year. So I took out the candidate name for privacy and I changed the client name, but this is the rest of the data that's in here is accurate. So we track on the name of the client, start date, title, salary, fee, candidate source. And as I scroll to the bottom, this is the average salary. This is the actual average salary of people that we placed last year. Our average fee, and as I look at this, I say, this has to be higher. You know, we're discounting our fee or we're placing people at a low level. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that. But now that I have the data, I can look at it and say, what are the changes that we need to make? Our total fees, net fees, this is after I back out commissions or anything that Pinnacle doesn't count. Where my candidates came from, and then who is responsible for sourcing the actual candidate. If I filter and I'm concerned with which client represented which income, I can sort just by Google, and I can see that Google led to $251,000 in fees. Once you have the info in here in light item form, now we can really begin to manipulate it. And I realize there might be a lot of people that aren't as tech savvy. This did not take a lot of time. With anything you have in Excel, it's really a matter of cleaning up the data, importing it, and then figuring out the way that you want it to look.
So, Alan, did your tracking system before was always on Excel? Or
Yeah.
did you, okay.
It was Excel. So when I did the presentation in October in Florida and I was
Right.
showing metrics, all of that was in Excel. And
Okay.
even though I'm pretty good with Excel, it still takes me hours at the end of the year to manipulate it. I've now taken hours of work and I've turned it into minutes of work. And the other thing is, because it's data visualization, I think it's attractive. I like looking at attractive data more than I like looking at just numbers on a sheet. This will make me want to work with the data more.
I have a question. So one of the frustrations I have, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So back in the dinosaur days, I learned the business with MRI. And when we had a system, we had something called a hot sheet, which is simply just your job orders, the candidate's interview, and the data just flowed so easily. And every other ATS I've been on, it sucks. Like, I just want a simplistic way to have a recruiter, their open orders, the candidates are interviewing, etc. I don't, maybe you or anybody else have an easy solution. Maybe this is simply just taking that data and importing it into it, and it's an easier way.
Yeah, I really like your question. And now we're getting into a 300 level Monday class, but I'm gonna show you the way that we do that. And what you're suggesting, Andy, is that we take information from multiple sheets and combine it into one. Maybe some of our info is a hot sheet of candidates. Maybe some of it is a hot sheet on jobs. Maybe some of it is money that's about to come in the door. So that's a dashboard. And a dashboard is a combination of full sheets or full boards or data from boards. So this is my dashboard, and the dashboard is comprised of widgets. A widget is any piece of information or a full sheet. And so what's important to me is being able to see gross billings to date. So this is my last year, net billings, AR, my to-do list. I've also put on here territories so that I know in a glance who on my team is working on which territory. And this tells me how much longer we have until we go to the next one. That's automated. If I want to look more at my accounts receivable, and here I can tell in orange who's late, green is due. This tells me how much longer until they're due, this little clock. and then my updates. You can customize this, Andy, so that your widgets are hot candidates over here, job orders over here, a to-do list on the bottom. A dashboard can be anything you want. I mean, it's really just limited to your creativity, but the dashboard would be the answer.
Hey, Alan. It's
Yeah.
Mark. One thing I'm kind of missing, it's an important piece for me, but I don't know Crelate, but our ATS system, so we have tasks, we have statuses that we can sort by a lot of things. We have the dashboard, we have that. What, in your words, what does this do for you that Crelate doesn't do?
I like it better when working as a team. So my theory with an ATS, of course, is garbage in, garbage out. And when we have different people on the team working with it, a lot of them are saying, it's just another clunky program to work with. And so they were silently revolting. And as a result, we weren't getting enough information or enough good information in the system. So even though Crelate is user-friendly, getting them to update things has been pulling teeth. So we realized if we can come up with something more user-friendly, more attractive, and something that can be open all day because it does multiple things, people will be more likely to use it. So Crelate, in my opinion, is an unbelievable ATS. Some unbelievable ATSs are a little bit clunky and have too many features. This is all-in-one, a to-do list, a project management tool, all of your spreadsheets. In my opinion, it can be used as an ATS. It's one of the few tools that allows you to create your own dashboards of all of the things that are important to you. And in a later date, we're going to show you how to automate a lot of things, which could even be automating emails. So I'll just give you a quick example. I can create an automation so that when I change the status here to something, if I change this status to client wants to interview, it'll generate an email automatically to the email address in this column saying, hey, Tammy, great news. My client, and I have a client column right here. My client would like to meet with you in person. Please let me know your availability. And all I did was change the status. And if I change the status again to client pass, I can create an email that says, unfortunately, our client's gone in another direction. Now, Crelate will do this. You can do this in Outlook. But if you can find a program that you're in all day because it accomplishes so many things, my feeling is you and your team will be more likely to use it. And that's what's great.
Mm-hmm.
We found that for communication, in-office communication about the status of something, this is the best way to go. Instead of me having 100 in-office emails throughout the day, many of which the subject of the email has nothing to do with the thread, now we can communicate in real time about something. So I'm going to go to another board just to show you an example. So one of the things that we did in here, and I take zero credit, is I assigned to our administrative team putting together our holiday party. And they put everything relating to our holiday party in here. There were a couple of things where they wanted my input. And so they were able to show me a list of what they were going to order. And instead of an email that's going to get lost, I can reply in here and say, it looks great. I think we need another salad. And then Devaney was able to say added. And so all this conversation is going on in real time, but we're keeping it true to the thread without bogging down our email. So it's also, for anybody who uses Slack, it's like an in-office communication system. And it does work with Slack. So that's an integration that if you are using some of these third-party products, there are ways to integrate it with those products. This is a list of all the companies that integrate. The difference between an automation and an integration: an automation means you're using things that are only housed within Monday. An integration means you're also using a third-party program in conjunction with Monday. And if you're using any of these, there is a way to make that product work and create an automation within Monday. The one that I use the most is Outlook, because now I can send emails to people. We've created alerts so that when we get a new job order and I enter a line item on the job order sheet, it automatically sends an alert to my entire team. So I'll just show you my job board. So if I create a line item on this board, it'll automatically send everybody on this board, and I have 7 people subscribed. It'll automatically send all of them an alert, and it'll say, hey, everybody, we have a new job order. And then when they click on the link, it'll take them to the board and it'll tell them where the new job order is. So instead of me having to send an email, they know they can come here. If we have a job description, the job description's been attached. If we have a link, the link is here, and then the status.
This is Gail. How would you, I mean, normally in an applicant tracking system, there's resumes attached. I didn't see that column anywhere. How do you find the resume, or can you do a keyword search on resumes?
So we are slowly beginning to add resumes. So we created a column and we have resumes attached. Now, this is where it falls just shy of what an ATS can and should do. It doesn't have a parsing tool. So you'll have to actually upload the resume. Fortunately, I've got an unbelievable administrative assistant who can do this, and she's uploaded the resume. Soon, she's going to go in and populate it with their LinkedIn link. It will not search keywords in a resume. So that's where maybe you want to create a tagging system where you tag and you put in certain software or certain skills. So as an example, when you have things tagged and you click on the tag, it will show you absolutely everything relating to that tag. So the tagging system is pretty powerful. Before I turn it over to questions, I just want to make sure I covered. The last one that we have is a fee agreement board. So I'll let my administrative assistant know that we need a fee agreement, and I can put in here what we need. The name of the client, the fee percentage, the number of payments, and whether it's retainer or contingency. She'll draft the agreement, then we'll keep track of the date that it was sent, who signed it, the date that it was signed. As soon as we change the status to fully executed, it'll automatically drop to the bottom section. Now it's fully executed. And because I added a column for new or existing and then a column for placement, at the end of the year, I can see how many fee agreements I sent out, whether they were new clients or existing clients just updating, and how many placements. So we have 7 fee agreements that we've sent out so far this year, and we have 1 placement. So it's just another way for us to be able to track. So that's it for the showcase. And I want to reiterate, we're barely scratching the surface, but I'll open it up to questions, and then assuming that people enjoy either the content or the format, we'll either do another webinar or maybe weave this into the next Pinnacle conference.
Alan, let's share the pricing. Can you on-screen share, and I'll share back that presentation so people can see that. Okay. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, pricing is per user per month. It's loading. It was loading. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Weird.
Somebody making popcorn?
I wish.
Strange. I don't know why it's not showing. Anyways, it's per user per month. It's the basic plan starts at $49 per user per month, and then the more users you add, there he goes. The more users you add, the less per month it gets. Like you could see the basic starts at $50 a month. There's a free trial, so you could play around with it. We're paying. We have almost 100 users on it. We're paying about $20 a month for enterprise. So you could see the more users you add, even as you scale up, the price goes down.
I want to make an important clarification. So on the basic plan where it says $49 per month, Boris, is there a way for you to scroll down on that?
No, I just copied and pasted it off of their website.
Okay, hang on a second, because I think I was able to get pricing up on mine.
Okay. But just
I'm gonna steal the screen share from you again if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Did my pricing come up?
No, hit
No.
share down at the bottom.
Okay, so the basic plan where it says for 2 users is $17 a month, it's not per user. $17 a month will get you up to 2 users.
Good call out there.
So we have the pro plan and we have 6 users. If we had 5, it would make a big difference in pricing. So at 5 users, the pro plan would be $59 a month. We have 6 employees, including myself. So we pay $120 a month for 6 users. So it's $20 a month. Crelate is $69 a month. Our Crelate subscription ends in August. We're not going to renew. We're just going to continue to tweak this program until we make it work for what we want. But for most small companies that have 5 employees or less, the pro plan, which is the one we have and is as robust as anybody would need, it's $10 to $12 per month per user. It's amazing. They've done a great job at continuing to add things. I'm constantly on their site looking at new webinars, looking at new things that they've added. Every opportunity I get, I email somebody there and tell them you need to come up with a resume parser. So hopefully that's something that they do. For us, it's a bargain. It's replaced multiple other programs. And now that I've gotten everyone in my office, I've shared the infectiousness with them. Everyone is trying to come up with other ways that we can better use it.
That's awesome. Good catch on that, Alan.
Sorry, I had to jump off for a moment there. I apologize, guys.
No worries. Let's jump into Q&A. Let's see what people are curious about.
I asked all my questions, so I'm good.
Hey, Alan,
Yes.
you talked about the size of the company, or Boris did, I think, but do you have any idea how many users they have?
At least 2. I know that on the main page of their website, they reference some of the large corporations that they work with. I'm trying to go there now. Oh, it's bringing me back to, I'm signed in, so it's going back to my main board. I'm going to say, do a little bit of investigating. My sense is it's in the hundreds just among what would be considered enterprise users, companies that have at least 100 or more users. So when I vet a new software, I want to know that it's going to be something that's sustainable. I have a very high confidence level. Monday has 2 main competitors in the quote project management space, Trello and Asana. In the process of trying to figure out which one I wanted to use, I looked at all 3 and I test drove all 3 for a day. I chose Monday mostly because it was the most user friendly, but also attractive. And I know that among our staff, if it's attractive, they'll keep it open and they'll continue to use it. On the plan that we have, the Pro plan, it also allows you to share boards with people that are not on the plan. So hypothetically, if I had a client and he wanted to see the candidates that I've sourced for a job and I create a board for that, I can share that board with them. Not share all of my boards, but just pick and choose, which is another key aspect of Monday is it allows you to set different levels of sharing. One is everybody on your team has access. One is you and you alone have access, or you and other designated people have access. So some of the boards that we have are me only. Some are me and my administrative team, and obviously some are everybody on our team.
Exactly what Alan just said about sharing boards. So we share our boards with our clients so that we can collaborate together on them. So the way Alan had his board set up by different things that he does, or like different functions that he needs, we set up our boards by client. So each client has a board, and so we load all of those clients' candidates into that board. It's shared amongst all the recruiters at our company that are working on that client and the internal client contacts. So they're able to use that as home base to collaborate together.
And
hey, Alan, this is Kim.
Hi, Kim.
How are you? Hey, I notice your pricing is different when I pull it up online, direct from them. Yours is a little more reasonable.
So let's make sure we have the same things clicked, meaning the same number of users. So the one that I have up is 5 users.
Correct. And I show, when I pull it up on Monday.com, like the 5 users is a basic for $39 a month. The standard is $49 a month. And when I took a quick screenshot of yours.
One is monthly, one is yearly.
Okay, so maybe I'm not.
So right now, I'm showing the monthly price. And it says yearly, you save 18%. So now it's showing the annual price. So maybe that's where the difference lies.
Okay, I'll look. I'll dig,
Okay.
And then maybe I'll bug you.
Okay.
Hey, this is Rob. Kind of a question for Boris. And by the way, thank you, Alan. This was a terrific presentation, super useful because it was something I was curious about. But without going into an in-depth presentation from Boris, sounds like you're also using this as a ATS. Is there anything dramatically different in terms of functionality that you're calling out from this versus what Alan was doing?
We have some similar functionality. I could screen share just some boards so you could see some of the differences. I'm going to pop your sharing off and share. The biggest thing that we do is because we have a number of recruiters that are using Monday, and it's important that they're each able to track their candidates, but using consistent terms and data. So what we did is under our boards, we have a board. So a different folder for each client that we represent. Let's see what we did for just click here. So for each project, we have a pipeline. So a pipeline is what we refer to as our a candidate activity, I guess would be a good way to put it. So name of candidate, stage and process. So all the same stuff that Alan has, title, current company, tags, etc. What we do is instead of having separate boards set up for interview dates, we have it all set up right here. So we put in all the dates right here. And people just kind of scroll on along to be able to input all their information. But it's all basically, it's all similar Monday functionality. We just use it for kind of makeshift ATS. For each of our clients, we enter all the jobs in a separate board so that there's one home base for job names. And then in the pipelines tab, pipelines board right here, candidates could only be assigned to one of these jobs as an example. So that protects like the integrity of the data. So someone can't, consider a candidate for mobile engineer. It has to be iOS engineer, or it can't be some made up text input name. That's probably the main difference between what we're doing versus what Alan is doing, is just some data standards that certain columns can pull from, so that there's consistency.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you again, guys. This was great. Sorry I missed part of it.
And if anybody has specific questions, I'm happy by email, by phone, or even doing a one-on-one with a screen share. I'm happy to walk anybody through or even share with you the structure of any of my sheets. So in that respect, I could create the skeleton of it and you just populate it with the data, or I can show you how to import a spreadsheet. I would highly recommend experimenting for a little bit with the free version. I think it took me 2 days to go from free to upgrading 3 times because I just saw the value. But I think there are ways that we can customize it and make it into a much more economical ATS, and still have the capability of sending messages, even receiving messages in here, and communicating inside our own team.
The free version, is that a sample? It's not an always free version. It's just a sometimes free?
It's always free. It limits your capabilities. So it limits the number of people that have access. It also limits the column types. So it starts you off with the basic type of column like text, number, status. Some of the really cool columns like inserting a document, inserting a hyperlink, inserting an email address, formulas, just like Excel. It's got some really powerful formulas. Those come with the paid versions. There's a lot you can do with the free version.
Okay, so on a project basis, if we were doing something for Pinnacle and Sean and I were going to do something together, we could try it and to communicate with each other using that on the free basis to see how it works.
Yep.
Okay, great.
You can share with the free version?
I don't think you can share with the free version. I think you've got to use one of the paid modules.
Okay.
It's pretty user friendly. So you'll once you start with a free version, you'll pretty quickly get the lay of the land of what you can do, and then it's really easy to upgrade if you want. And I think now that it's Alan, I'm glad you asked the question. All of this, by the way, just started with Alan asking a question on Facebook. Hey, who else uses Monday? And so now we have some community around it, which is great. So as anyone has, if anyone feels like playing around with it or has a question around it, pop a question onto Facebook, or myself or Alan can be used as a resource. And maybe if this takes wind, then we'll see it more, as we kind of continue along in Pinnacle. Sure, Alan, I'm happy myself to do a more in-depth version of this. If people want to get into some of the automation intricacies or the integration intricacies, or whatever people are into. Monday's pretty. Monday's been around, but they're putting a lot of money into marketing and promotion. We found Monday through one of our team members found it via an Instagram ad, introduced them to us, and then we started liking it, fully adopted it. So I think we'll only start to see them more and more. But we're running up on time, so why don't we call it on this? Again, this has been recorded. I remember to hit record right after my intro, so you got all of Alan's walkthrough and demo and whatnot. So if anyone is on phone, or if anyone missed any part of it, then you'll have it. We'll post it up on the internal website. And then again, thanks everyone for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed. And then if anyone has ideas for more webinars or is interested in sharing on a webinar, reach out and we'll get you looped in. Have a good rest of the day, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan and Boris.
So much.
This was awesome.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.